Hey, Julia. Hey, Amy.
Hi.
Give it a moment, see who comes in. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Hi, Alice. How is everyone this evening?
Okay.
Good. Hi, Alice. I did it.
Hello.
Just giving it a moment or two, see who shows up. I'll just begin, and some people may come along when they're ready. Hi, welcome. So tonight, I have scheduled that we are doing a guided meditation session, which we will get round to as well. But then over the course of the week, I've kind of been pulled more towards the runes. Sorry, I'm just letting someone in. When I first started Sisterhood. Hi, Emma. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you.
This is Emma.
Hello. Got my wine. I'm out of my broom.
Okay, so when I first started doing these sessions, like way back before it was even called the Cosmic Sisterhood, one of the things that I was exploring was runes. And I just wanted to bring that in, really, bring it back in, because I don't know hardly anything about runes, only what I've read a bit about it tonight in the bath. And I did quite a bit of reading about it back in the first lockdown, but it's just I don't know, it dissipated, it stopped. It's a shame because they're really, really interesting. And for me, it's a bit like, I guess when people come to tarot for the first time, it feels really overwhelming, like this wealth and history of information. And the things with runes is they go back way before tarot anyway. They're like a not even medieval, that's not even the right word, like pre-history type almost thing. They're definitely dated pre-Christianity and I don't know, even further back, Viking sort of times, and possibly back before then. And they traveled all over Europe, well, particularly down through that line around sort of Germany and then over to England, and then grew even more in England and Wales and Ireland and Scotland. I just think that's so interesting because I think as English people, we tend to like look at other people's spirituality and co-opt it as our own. And this is something that very much came through our ancestors on this land, and that there's evidence that it was used. So anyway, yeah, I think that the runes start to play a little part within our session. So I hope everybody is fine with that and is as interested in them as me. What I will say is that look, all these books I've got, I inherited all these books from my dad's gardener's mum. Random, I know, a long time ago. And to be honest, I gave a lot away recently because they were just cluttering up my house, but I kept all the rune books. I've got all of these books about runes, and some of them, they're quite heavy going. Maybe that's how people feel when they come to tarot. There's probably more laying around. Maybe and I think that's probably why I present tarot the way I do and try and make it more accessible, because these older books are like, they're really heavy and quite dry, and they're not accessible in the way that perhaps more modern books are. I think there's been a shift in publishing, probably Kizzy could probably attest to this, over the last maybe 20-30 years, where things have become more personable and about personality and, you know, people's experiences rather than just the dryness of books. But yeah, so these books are going to be my bedtime, daytime, bath time reading for a little while, and I'll try and share stuff about the runes on this, in these conversations, but also on the website. So I noticed quite a few of you have gone on there, and I put a list up. If you haven't been on to the Cosmic Sister website today, you'll see I put like a picture of a bunch of runes. I say a bunch of runes, it's not the official terminology. I think it's the Elder Futhark. Julia, tell me if I'm wrong. Futhark. I've not had to ever say that out loud, so I don't know how it's pronounced. I'll go find that out. They're like the older runes, and then so the ones I posted today are like the really ancient back in the back day, whereas there are more, I say modern, they're still really old, but that they got built upon until there was 25, and the image, the symbolism changed ever so slightly. So go on to the Cosmic Sisterhood, and if you haven't chosen one from that picture, then go ahead and do it, because then you can just put it in there, and then I'll go and read one of my books and have a little, see what I can find about that rune, and hopefully it will present a useful message. So did anybody who's done that today, did they find that their message was helpful or reflective of anything?
I'm just going to go and have a look now, because I think I missed that earlier. I think you might have replied to mine.
Can't remember.
I'll have a little look.
Quite a few. It's been quite popular. There's been quite a lot of members have gone and chosen one. And the messages are big. This is the thing about the runes, is that they're really like, there's this tiny little symbol to work with. So I'm used to working with pictures with colors and stories on them, but this is just a symbol. And when you read in some of this information in these books, I'm trying to, I've got the simple books out now. I started with a more complicated one. I ended up getting Runes for Beginners out. But I was reading one, and just the terminology. Let me give you an example. This rune means you, which is a tree that is sacred to rune craft and to the making of bows. The bow is associated with the hunting god. All actually, this one isn't as complicated as some of the others, but some of them just really go on, and then the meaning of them changes and shifts in ways that is quite different to me. I think that's why I like it. It's a bit of a challenge. So what I thought I'd do, so make sure that you do get on. I'll leave that rune thing up, and what we'll start doing is exploring like one rune at a time, maybe, because I found my runes. So in here I have a mix-up of some crystal runes that I was given, but I don't think all of them are there. I think some of them might be in the garden. I'm not sure how they made it there. Dogs, children, etc. But also these ones that I made back in lockdown. When was that? Was it last year or the year before? I made these. Is that one of you guys sending messages over on a Cosmic Sisterhood? Let me just check, because I hit ping, ping, ping on my computer. So it might be, it's you, Kizzy. So I made these with air drying clay with the kids. So that's the other thing, is you don't even need to invest any money into these things. The other thing that I quite fancy doing, and that I would recommend people doing if they wanted to create a deck, is just go find pebbles, and then write on them with a, you know, a fancy gold pen or a permanent marker, or, you know, apparently the Vikings used to etch in blood. So if you have like a moon cup or something and you fancy, you know, going all wilderness on us, then we could try that too. But yeah, that was really easy to make. I still don't know the meaning of them all, but I did get as far as the first et. Right, so that makes no sense if you don't know anything about runes. But what I will say is that the runes now are broken down into 3 like sections. Freya, Hegel, and Tyr. See, I did learn something today. And I've managed to make notes on the first of those. So there's in each et, again, it's spelled A-E-T-T. I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Et. I'm not sure, but there's 8 runes in each one of those 3. So you have 3 sets of 8. And they're named after gods, although Odin, the god Odin, rules the lot of them and is the one who is said to produce them. I don't know a lot about him either. And each et has its own vibe, feeling, but I've not got that far as to what exactly that vibe or feeling is, but I'll let you know when I do. Anyway, so that's where we're up to with runes. So I won't keep going on because I feel like I'm acting quite excited about something I can't even tell you that much about. But I would definitely recommend you all go and even make your own little set. You can maybe even just do it on bits of card, you know, just draw the runes onto a bit of card and put them in a bag and pull them out. And then, you know, if you don't have a book, Google it. And have a look at the different meanings and the answers. We have so much access to information these days. And just start to use them, maybe use them alongside your tarot, use them maybe for meditation. One of the ways apparently the Vikings used them quite prolifically was for protection. And, you know, if there was a war, they'd be placed around the village to protect the women and children. Oh, Emma, wood burning is good too. Tell me more. What do you mean wood burning is good? Can you unmute? Hang on, sorry, I can. You're still muted.
Oh yeah, I've unmuted.
Yeah,
There you go.
sorry.
So if you've got, you can get little wooden discs, and if you've got a wood burning tool, which is just like a hot rod of metal, and you can etch your runes into the wood burning tool, and it smells lovely as well.
Oh, that feels really like more traditional, like how they may have done it.
Yeah, and you can also get little, I've got some that I use sometimes just for protection. I don't know much about the runes. I know bits about the gods and the goddess, but the actual runes themselves, I'm also still learning. But you can get little beads that you can put in your hair. So if you do a plait, you can do it big or you can do it hidden. But I haven't got one in today typically, but quite often I'll have a little like single plait, and I'll thread the rune beads into the plait as a sort of a mindful thing in the morning when I'm getting ready. It's quite a nice.
A whole new runic world is opening up here. And I imagine you could like put those on a necklace as well, or something.
Yeah. They're just like little. They're in my bathroom, but they're just like hollow beads with the runes etched on the outside of them. And then if you just do a little plait, and what I tend to do is I'll do the plait and I'll pull three runes out, and I'll use, you know, the present, like past, present, future sort of thing, and then just put the runes in my hair and hope that'll help me get through the day sort of thing. But it's, you know, it's just and by doing the plait in your hair, it's quite a pagan-y thing. Whilst you're doing the plait, you do your manifesting or your what you want for the day, you know, trying to keep the positivity whilst you're plaiting your hair. You just try and manifest that positivity into your day. And yeah,
I feel like you just dropped the most amazing bomb on us. That was like, thank you.
Sorry.
Your first meeting, and you come in. And that's cool. I'm thinking next week I'll be like fully plaited up.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do many, and it's just quite a nice way. So if you're going through quite a tough time, which, as you know, I am at the moment. So sometimes if you don't go through a tough time, so part of it is just morning routine. If you just pull out a little bit of your hair and just plait that, and while you're plaiting it, think of all the the positive things that you want throughout that day, and then and if you're having a little bit of a worry later on in the day, a little anxiety, something like that, just hold the plat, and it calms you down, because it's like grounding, you know. It's like that sort of you know, remembering your morning routine and where you were, and actually this is how I want to be for today, and you just, yeah, and it's which is why I've always got little rat's tails under my hair, because I'm always doing that. So, but yeah, it's a nice way of like calming down and remembering your center. So
yeah, and do you know what? I think I know all the things I could possibly do to be mindful and spiritual, and I've never heard or even considered anything like that. So I just feel like that is such a wonderful practice to bring spirituality and that idea of protection. And yeah, I love that. That is Rune hairbands. I'm gonna
yeah, little beads. Amazon
Rune
do 'em.
beads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Emma. I know that is brilliant. That's such a wonderful, it's quite a feminine way as well of bringing power into your day. Gosh, yeah, it's easier than getting a tattoo or something as well, isn't it?
Less painful. Gotta be honest.
Yeah, it makes me nervous as well, the idea of tattooing something like that. So like even tarot cards, it's like the meaning behind them is so beautiful, but what if your life changes and it just doesn't fit anymore and you're kind of stuck with this vibe on your arm or something? So, but yes, thank you. I'm just going to mute you again for a moment.
Yeah, no.
Thank you. Well, that's brilliant. I absolutely love that. So that's some really good practical advice on what we can do with runes. So I guess somebody who produces these rune beans is going to get like a little run on them tomorrow as we all go away and Google it. So I'm not going to keep talking about something that I don't know masses about. I'm just trying to get you all, like, obviously I know a couple of you do know things about the runes, but for everyone else who knows nothing or is interested, then obviously that's something that I want to continue to explore as we move forward a lot through the group, because it's nice to do the writing and to share in that way. And I won't always go on in these meetings about runes, but I just wanted to introduce the idea. And it might be worth getting a book. I mean, this is an old book. These are all old books, but this one is saying it's giving zodiac sign links and a tarot card link and a color, an agenda. Yeah, probably wouldn't get that in a book these days. Probably would be a bit different, but I mean, it's really interesting. You've got all your runes listed, a bit of history. So it's nice. It's nice to connect to ancestors, I think, and kind of what they might have been thinking of and interested in. So yes, so I'm going to pull us a rune, which I'm going to then, I guess, look up in the book. Let me be frank. I'm going to have to look it up in the book. I'll take a rune like I would normally do a tarot card. I'm going to take a card as well. And then when we do our meditation, what I will do is I will bring that rune into the meditation, because that is something I read in my book today is quite a good thing to do. And this is a great place to do it. So give me a second. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure which way it goes up. Is that right, Julia? I'm not. Let me have a look, see if I can recognize, see if I can.
It's a bit like the one I chose today, I think.
Oh yes,
Manes or man?
I think
yeah, I like that one.
Yes.
I was drawn to it, and actually your little explanation feels very nice. And
well, I'll just talk straight from the books and stuff. So but it was really interesting reading through the book and like trying to distill it into something quite small was actually very difficult, because if you were to look at those pages and pages on each one. So this one, which is Dayag, letter D. It's all, I guess it was then originally an alphabet, but also a symbolic sort of language. And it means here day and breakthrough. So that's very positive. Perhaps we're all heading towards a breakthrough. So just give me a second while I try and locate it in here. Don't think this is one that I actually got round to studying when I was studying them. Do you know, it does look like that Manas one. It's slightly different. So that is Dagas, where it's like the cross, but either side has got the lines, whereas Manas is that. So they are very, very similar. And I was reading that the reason they all have straight lines is because obviously back in the ancient times, they didn't have the tools to do curves. So I think anything that has been, like if you see a deck of runes, a set of runes that has curves, then that's a sort of modernized version, because they wouldn't have been able to do that. Okay, so using this book, Runes for Beginners, the zodiac sign is Leo, the tarot link is Temperance, the color is blue, and the polarity is male. And one thing all of these are also connected with different aspects of nature, which I think is lovely. This rune is said to relate to the rowan and Norway spruce trees. Oh, that's lovely. Do you know, if I had ever had a boy, I went through a phase of wishing that I would call him Rowan. Anyway, and it simply means day. It is also connected to sage and the god Heimdall, who is a god I have not heard of before. The Anglo-Saxon runic poem reads, Diag, the glorious light of the sun, is sent by the High One, is beloved of men, a source of hope and happiness to prosperous and poor alike, of service to all. This symbol is another which does not have a Norwegian or Icelandic runic poem attached to it, because that's a lot of them do have like these insane poems attached to them. They're kind of cool, but I guess very ancient. Daylight, new starts, and enlightenment are all part of the meaning of this rune. Well, that's perfect for our group. We're all looking for new starts. Our words this year are passion, faith, and possibility. And enlightenment is kind of what we're constantly looking for and finding bits of, and then getting back into the dirt and back into life, and then back to the enlightenment. This is the rune of midday and also midsummer. If you're waiting for a breakthrough from a period of stalemate, this is the rune for you. You're metaphorically coming from a period of darkness into the light of day, at which time, which is true of the season as well, at which time things take on a different perspective and may need reevaluating. Ideals are likely to be high when this rune is drawn and ambition strong. There are opportunities to be seized and wishes to fulfill. You are likely to be concerned with your own and your family's security, and now is the time to plan for the future and embark upon new projects. Anything different may appeal, and you could consider changing your lifestyle, moving to a totally different area or country, or putting in for a promotion. Chances to increase your income are likely, and things are likely to start to change slowly for the better. Children or youngsters will feature prominently at this time. Things are likely to alter beyond recognition, and you could well have startling changes of attitude and a new understanding of life and the things within it which are important to you. This is a good rune to draw, but often indicates the need for hard work. As the saying goes, if it's worth having, it's worth working for. Good health and prosperity are likely. This rune is linked with the Ogham character Duer, and the Hebrew letter Daleth. So this is actually a very straightforward book. The one I was using today to try to translate everybody's ones was so complicated, and I wish I'd come to this one. That one's nice and easy to understand. So I feel like that's really positive little symbol for us. So what I would ask you to do is just try and bear that in mind, and maybe even, just in case you can't see that, I'm going to draw it for you, because I'd like you, if you have a pen and paper, to draw it somewhere near you, just so you can keep it around. You can maybe put it under your pillow when you go to bed tonight. You could have it in front of you so that when we're doing the meditation, you kind of have an awareness of what it looks like. You might want to stick it in your bra, in your pocket. And that is Let's double check. Dagaz. So it's Dagaz. So everyone got that? I think that's a really beautiful rune, and I think that was in the second et. No, that's in the third one. Tears et. So Tyr is the god of war. So it comes under fate and karma, which I guess enlightenment does tend to come under fate and karma, because enlightenment just happens to make its way to us often. It's not, we can go looking for it, but it tends to find us in the most difficult of circumstances, as I'm sure we have all experienced. So I'm loving that card, I want to say, but you know what I mean, rune. Okay, so I thought to go with the runes because they feel heavy to me at the minute because they're new and there's so much information. They feel like a bit darker than tarot. Probably people who are not familiar with tarot wouldn't agree with that, but to me they feel a bit darker. They feel, yeah, and they come from a dark time, Viking times, war and, you know, pillaging and rape and murder and all, you know, darkness. Literally, there was no electric, obviously, but yeah, they feel like they come from those dark times, but bring forward so much light and power. So I thought a good deck of cards to pull a card is this Lantern Oracle, which I feel always gives us bigger depths of messages, really. There's always a lot of information in these. So we'll pull a card to go alongside Dagaz. And like we usually do, if you just take it on board and see where it fits in your life. Okay. Okay, so we have the lady who's on the front cover of the box, and it says strength of vulnerability. True power lies at the root of a perceived weakness. So basically our power comes from the areas of our lives where we feel like we have no power. So I'm going to read that to us when I can locate what I've done with the book. I'm so disorganized. Right, number 4, strength of vulnerability. Feelings of vulnerability arise when we are treated as if we are, or we believe ourselves to be, incapable of adequately protecting or providing for ourselves. It may be that we feel somewhat dependent or insecure in a relationship, intimate, social, or familial, profession, situation, or place. Our vulnerability presents us with the fears and the uncertainties we need to confront and overcome in our personal development. Therefore, what frightens us can be used as the catalyst to discovering our inner resources and the capacity to self-empower and outgrow any perceived limitation. If we listen to and accept our feelings of weakness and what seems threatening, we can identify effective ways to prepare and learn to support ourselves to survive them, master them, and thrive beyond them. As the maiden, you are the warrior. Your life experiences and current resources are not random, but perfectly equip you to take on whatever makes you feel vulnerable. You're at the threshold of realizing your inherent strength, which is a lot what that other card was saying, wasn't it? Is that we're on the threshold, something is changing, we're going to experience and see things differently. To know what you are capable of involves daring to experience the full spectrum of yourself. This includes exploring what you believe you are not. It could help to ask yourself, how would I handle this situation if I did not feel inadequate? In what ways can my current feelings of vulnerability be perceived as a strength? Write down your answers before also asking yourself, how can I creatively mobilize this strength to make me feel confident in taking the necessary steps to confront or navigate my way beyond what feels threatening to me? The maiden encourages you to recognize your vulnerability as a training ground for developing the necessary skills, resources, and support network to gain a sense of self-mastery and strength over any perceived weakness. Your vulnerability is where you recognize your power. And as always with these cards, it couldn't be truer. You know, I think when we're in these dark places, difficult places, feeling vulnerable, exposed, and lost, we're really in a place of surrender, and that space of surrender asks us to do differently, to be ourselves differently, to find ways to experience beyond the familiar and the known. I'm just thinking in my own experiences, that when we feel vulnerable, when we feel afraid, when we feel like we have no strength, and it's the same with tarot. Sometimes the cards are really dark, but they're there to present us with an opportunity to overcome. And it feels like when you're in that pit of it, like you'll never overcome, but you always do. And you become better equipped to deal with these things or whatever it is as it arises. And like it says here, daring to experience the full spectrum of yourself. And how are you not doing that? Like, how are you not experiencing the full spectrum of yourself? Or how are you putting blocks in the place of that? And how are you not allowing yourself to have possibilities? And for the women who've been in the Wands group with the minor arcana, we've been meditating as a separate paid course on that. And that's one of the big themes, is all of these blocks that we put in the way of doing things that we want to do, whether it's fears, or whether it's lack of confidence, or whether it's vulnerability. But actually, when you navigate away from them and take some risks and take some chances and jump into things that make you feel incredibly vulnerable, you're given an opportunity to like grow, and you do grow. That's my experience. You know, my recent example of that is leaving my job of 18 years to do this like all the time. I was doing this anyway. I was straddling both things, but there was a fear there. And even now, having left the job quite a while, well, a few months ago, I'm still coming up against those vulnerability areas and having to overcome them. And it's so interesting because it keeps, as the situation grows and you get out of that comfort zone, you grow with it, and you're like, oh God, yeah, I can do this differently. I can do things another way. I can think about this differently. So yeah, I think they're really great, well, a great rune and a great card that really speak to enlightenment and how that comes through the most difficult times. So before we move into a lovely little meditation, does anyone have anything they want to add, any questions or any thoughts that have arisen? And Lisa, thank you for putting the affirmation in your book for Daggaz is, I am allowed to change. Love that. Yes, you are. We all are. And sometimes who's the person who's stopping us? Ourselves. Like, we have to recognize that we're the ones who give ourselves permission, really. And we're the ones who don't give ourselves permission, and we put lots of reasons around why we can't do things, and we justify staying the same, but actually we're allowed to change that. Okay, anyone, any thoughts, questions, queries, reflections on those?
I definitely need to brush up on my runes. I'm so out of practice.
Well,
I probably haven't picked them up for years, so it'd be nice to get back into them.
yeah, I think at least we can do that together, because I really don't know anything. And sorry if I rambled at everyone for a while there about the rune. They make me excited though. It's nice to find a new thing that's sort of similar to what I already do. So I've got an idea of how I can explore it, and doing it with all you lot is even more fun, far more fun than doing it by myself. Okay, anyone else got anything they want to mention about any of the cards or anything we've talked about tonight?
I sent you a little message on Instagram. I've got a really, really basic book of the runes, but it gives the enunciation of the of the rune. So yeah, and the Dagas is Thorgars, and so I said in the message I'm happy to send a little photo of I'll show you. There you go. Look.
So Dagas is pronounced completely different than so Thorgars. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll what I'll do is I'll take photo. There, like I say, it's a very, very basic one, but it gives. I just thought it was quite sweet because it gives the pronunciation of what they mean, of what they should sound like. So
Which is, you don't
'cause
feel like you
it's-
need it, do you, until you're suddenly doing a Zoom call to loads of women and you realise you need to
Well,
get them out loud.
no, well, that's it, isn't it? Well, yeah, you're talking to someone who's really, really, really dyslexic. So the English language is hard enough for me, let alone the Viking language. But so, but yeah, no. What I'll do is I'll photograph it and I'll send it over to you. So
Oh, thank you, and I'll pop it on the group. But yeah, oh wow, okay, more learning.
yeah,
Good.
another language.
Always wanted to learn another
Throw a bit
language.
of Viking into it, yeah.
It's probably far more useful than my GCSE French. All right then. So is everybody happy to go into a little meditation now? Okay, cool. So if everybody just brings themselves to feeling really nice and comfortable, turn your screens off if you want to. I'm fine with that. Or everyone's going to have their eyes closed other than me anyway, and I might have mine closed. But we'll just begin by hands over our hearts and taking 3 beautiful big breaths in. So really filling your lungs up and then releasing it. Whenever you have finished with your breaths, just continue to breathe in a way that feels really comfortable. Maybe just aware for a few more moments of your breath, of how it feels. I often find once I've taken a few of those deep breaths, it's like my body just craves for more. And so if your body wants to take a few more deep breaths, just continue to breathe deeply, allowing yourself to just give over and to rest into this meditation, because it's not often we actually give ourselves any quality time to just sit and to just be. So just feeling the relaxation sweeping through your body. You can put your hands down on your knees, over your belly, or you can keep them on your heart if you feel that that's working. I want you to bring yourself to what feels like an ancient time. So a time of Vikings, perhaps. And just imagining that you are in a very cold and wet, but very beautiful and rugged Scandinavian country. Perhaps walking by the edge of a cliff with a beach below you. no other people around, but just knowing that it's an ancient time from thousands of years ago. And you're just walking the land, feeling deeply connected to it in a way that perhaps we can't as modern humans, where we have our homes and our cars and our umbrellas. But just being yourself, but yourself 1,000, 2,000 years ago. And as you walk along this beautiful cliff's edge, waves crashing on the ocean below, it's all quite adventurous feeling. The sounds, the slight chill in the air, perhaps pulling a big warm animal skin coat around you to warm yourself. And as you look towards the land, maybe in the distance, you can see some kind of settlement, some kind of village. You can see the smoke rising from bonfires. Maybe you can hear children laughing. But you're not walking towards the village, recognizing it as perhaps a Viking village, perhaps it's your home, perhaps you've come from there. Instead, you're going to walk down the cliff now, which is sloping downwards to the beach. And the beach is a beautiful shingle and sand beach. So there's loads of pebbles of all sizes. And there's also patches of sand. And the waves are dark and grey, crashing into white foam. It's not raining too hard, but it's just one of those dull, drizzly days. But even though it's not the kind of weather we might normally take our spiritual meditations and walks in, it feels powerful, it feels potent. It's the kind of weather that gets overlooked because we're looking for sun, or we're looking for snow, or we're looking for clear skies. But right now we have cloudy skies, we have rain, we have the crashing ocean, we have a chill in the air. And yet here we are feeling really quite contented, recognizing that life can be dark and grey, with oceans crashing at our feet. And that even in these more difficult moments, perhaps where we feel slightly vulnerable and exposed to the elements, to the situations of our lives, we can still hold ourselves, hold our space, and think about who it is we are becoming, who it is we like to be, and how we'd like to carry ourselves forward. Just walking along the beach now, with the ocean crashing beside you, perhaps coming very close to your feet, but not close enough to soak them. Just thinking about who you are becoming, and how moments, flashpoints of difficulty in life are what have led you here. How each individual difficult situation has allowed itself to become in time a stepping stone. And how each vulnerability you have lived with has had its own magic, its own superpower. And sometimes when we are vulnerable, we seek to protect ourselves, and other times we seek to move onwards into greatness. And either way is perfect. So just standing there, looking out to the ocean, allowing the waves to crash close to your feet. And recognizing that the imperfection of life is in some ways the perfect pattern, the perfect gift. And taking a moment now to think again about who it is you want to become, what it is you'd like to feel in your life. What would you like to change? If you're allowed to change, which you are allowed to change, what would you change? What will you change? And just gazing out at that grey, crashing, rocky ocean, let's think on this for a moment and recognize that the sea reflects the inner tumultuousness of your truth, battling up against your lies, really, the lies we tell ourselves about who we are, and that maybe we're okay and maybe we're happy and maybe we can justify this or justify that or put up with this. And our truth is battling to get out, like the waves battling to meet the sand. And maybe we do feel slightly tumultuous inside as we aim towards the change that we need so that we can align more closely with our truth and allow our sea to be calm again. So thinking about what your truth is and how you might begin to move towards it and allow yourself to change what needs to be changed to experience it. And just sitting with that now for a minute. Slowly you notice that the sky is becoming lighter and the clouds are parting just close to you. And as they part, you can see a glimpse of blue and a glimpse of sunlight, and the rays come down to the choppy ocean, highlighting areas of it as being quite blue. So what looked grey before, what looked dark and murky and churned up, is under the light of day, under the sun, beautiful turquoise blue, glimmering and shining. And you remember that that was always there. It just so happened that you couldn't see it. And the chink of light coming down meets the beach, moving close to your feet and then onto you. And it's almost like you're under a spotlight, as if the universe, the cosmos, is asking you to take charge of the role of your own life and to allow yourself to change in the ways that you have been contemplating. And you look down to the sand, the gravelly, pebbly sand beneath your feet, and you notice under the new light that is shining upon you that there is a rounded, soft-looking stone, and you pick it up and it sits beautifully in your palm, and as you turn it over, you notice that it is inscribed with the symbol of daggers, and I apologize, I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but that same symbol that we have explored tonight is sat upon that stone, a reminder of your possibility to be enlightened, a reminder of the day, a reminder of your passion for life. Trusting that breakthroughs are happening and enlightenment is finding its way to you. And that as the darkness of the sea, of the ocean, of the sky begins to give way to light, you too feel lighter. Your perspective starts to shift, whether that's now or later, or in a month's time. You're creating that shift right now by being open to it and by gazing at this beautiful stone in your hand with this beautiful symbol upon it. Recognizing that change will always find you, but that right now it is you who is seizing the change. It is you who is shifting in your understandings. And it is you who is willing to put the work into your life to create light from darkness and to create changes in your understanding of who you are and what you want. So taking that beautiful rune and slipping it into your pocket, and just mentally in your mind asking for its energy to sit with you over the coming days and weeks. And as you look out to the ocean now, you'll notice that the clouds have parted in several places, and you can see many rays of light, of sunbeams shining down and hitting the ocean, creating a dappled effect across the water. The darkness is giving way to light, to blues and greens, emeralds and sapphires within the waves. And remembering that you contain all of these colours too. And the light in the clouds continues to shine down. You might turn around and notice that the entire of the village is spotlit by a beautiful sunbeam. And maybe there's a huge rainbow appearing in the sky. Just relaxing now into that idea of change, of how easy it is to come by, of how easy it is to agree to yourself that certain things require change, and then working hard at allowing that change to happen, and trusting that even if that makes you feel deeply, deeply vulnerable, that this is where your power begins. So taking a nice deep breath, pulling the energies of that gorgeous rune into your heart, into your life, your mind, your spirit, and promising to abide by them in the coming year. And then in your mind's eye, letting the village, letting the sea, letting this ancient time just begin to evaporate away, and becoming accustomed to your body again, to the chair that you're sat in. Maybe before you open your eyes, just thinking about who you are, where you are, remembering your everyday life, bringing yourself back from 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, returning to this modern time, perhaps having a wiggle, fingers, toes, body, stretch, yawn, whatever you need to do. Taking a nice, deep, refreshing breath, maybe placing your feet on the floor if they're not on the floor, just to ground you and connect you back into this moment. And then whenever you are ready, you can open your eyes and return back to the screen. I hope that was nice for everyone. There we go. So a lovely symbol. I would definitely, I'm going to take my symbol and I'm going to pop that, I think, under my pillow when I go to bed, and see if it brings any interesting dreams or thoughts, or just allow it to really sit with me for a little bit. So I hope everyone enjoyed that. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up, or anything that they'd like to share from their meditations? There's no pressure if anybody doesn't want to, but if you do, then you're welcome to. Julia?
I felt it was really nice to have the the change in the weather and the scenery, because like you say, we normally do go to those places where it's like really bright and sunny and things, but actually being by the ocean and having the cold and the wet, and I really like being at the ocean when it's like, you know, you've got the really tall cliffs and the powerful waves and things. It's like the earth's alive. That was quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that kind of wet, windy ocean, slightly wild. Yeah, yeah. There's nowhere quite like it, is there? You know, you don't want, well, the woods can get a bit blustery, but I don't know, the ocean just feels like this mass of something that could swallow you up. It's, yeah, it's incredible. I'm glad you like that. Thank you. Anyone else? Or are you all ready for bed? All right then, guys. If that is that, then I would suggest you go and put your, what was it, Emma? Thor, what it, Dagaz. We'll cut shorthand it as Dagaz. What is? I can't hear you for some reason. You're not muted, but
Thing. I mute myself on here. Thorgors, I think it is.
Thorgors.
Like I say, I am very dyslexic, so English language is is pretty, yeah. So even the enunciations isn't great for me. But I'll send you those pictures. I'll type it in the chat, and then you can.
Oh yeah, good idea. Well, let's all go put our Thorgors in our under our pillows or whatever, you know, next to your bed, wherever you, if you feel comfortable to do that. You don't have to do that at all, of course. Oh, there we go. Thor gauze. Yeah, that's what I do too. Thank you. And yeah, let's keep playing with the runes, and we'll be back next Wednesday with Carly Caps is coming. She's a psychologist, life coach, psychotherapist, counselor, like bright and bubbly, full of energy kind of person, who's going to talk to us about, I'm not sure what, I'm going to ask her what she wants to talk to. I know she does a lot about helping women set up their day for success. So it's a bit more of there will probably be a spiritual element to it, because I know she's psychic too, and she's very intuitive, but it's also very practical. So we'll see. That'll be lovely. And then we have Natalie at the end of the month, which Natalie has done a session for us before, but it was a pre-recorded one. So I've been meaning to get her in. We kept missing each other. So we're going to do a slightly belated vibe, astrological vibes for 2022. And that's in about 2 weeks. So brilliant. All right. Well, have a good sleep. Thank you all for being here, and hope to see you all again really soon. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.